Emily's actually Emily Baker, who called in previously. She's our legal correspondent. Because Crowder is suing YouTube apparently for demonetizing him. Let's see. Let me pull this up real fast.
He claims he's suing both YouTube and Facebook.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah, the Facebook lawsuit was announced in February, and then he just announced a week or two ago a lawsuit against YouTube.
Here he says, Crowder LLC, through its lawyers, gave a legal notice to YouTube of the intent to file a lawsuit and seek an injunction. Here, let's watch this.
I have filed a notice of a lawsuit against YouTube.
You can get Emily ready.
And are seeking an injunction to prevent them, to stop them from currently deplatforming us. I want to be really clear. This is different from...
Bro, you can so he can upload. So the claim of deplatform is...
Right.
I mean, on...
I think he was locked out of uploading for a time, but yeah. I think at the moment he can. It's just that if he gets another strike, he'll be completely banned from the platform, and so he's, out of an abundance of caution, not uploading.
Got it. That's a good idea. I mean, I've seen his content.
Right.
I mean, the one about me was bordering on COVID misinformation. Like, he was flirting with it.
Sure, yeah.
Claims and counterclaims, or people thinking that their content is being throttled. We've officially sent a notice of a lawsuit. Very different level. This is the big one, boys and girls. NZs. First off, we were demonetized in the new year. Then we had a hard strike that didn't count as a hard strike, but was like a warning hard strike. Right. Then we had an actual hard strike, and we just had a second hard strike on our channel. So we'll go through what all those are, and the most recent one is absurd. Admittedly, it's not even a violation in and of itself of any policy. We'll tell you exactly.
He's like, bro, all I did was do a mock murdering of George Floyd. Like, I mean, why wouldn't YouTube want that?
From
Emily,
what
do you think about all this?
From what I could tell, the mock murdering of George Floyd wasn't one of the strikes.
Yeah,
which is
you're right. I just think
pretty
that's
surprising.
I just think it's funny that he did that. Emily, what do you think about this lawsuit?
Hi, Emily.
Does it have merit?
Hey, everybody. Good to see you guys again. I think that he hasn't filed a lawsuit yet, so we don't know exactly what claims he's going to be bringing against YouTube. He said notice of a lawsuit, and he also said these aren't claims or counterclaims. I think they sent a demand letter to YouTube and are asking or threatening that they're going to file for an injunction to not further demonetize his channel or not further strike his channel. But I found his lawsuit against Facebook filed by the same attorney in the Central District of Texas, but there's no suit filed against YouTube there or Google or Alphabet. So nothing's been filed. I think this is just a demand letter when he says notice of lawsuit. So a demand letter is typically, hey, I think you did this. You suck. If you don't do these things with me or settle or resolve in this way, then I'm going to sue you. And normally lawyers will attach a copy of the lawsuit to show that they're way fucking serious about it and just be like, this is what we're going to sue you with if you don't work with us on what we're asking for. So I think we're at the demand letter stage. I don't think there's been a lawsuit filed. We haven't seen that anywhere.
What's the purpose of a demand letter? I mean, it seems like if you really want to sue someone, you would just sue them. Why fuck? And like YouTube's going to throw his demand letter in the garbage, probably, right?
I mean, it depends on what he says. I can't imagine that they won't. YouTube has tons of lawsuits going on at any given time through, Google and Alphabet, and currently has a lawsuit going on about not enforcing their own policies with regard to malicious DCMA takedowns, which I think is hilarious. Or DMCA. I always get the letters flipped, but YouTube could work with him and say, hey, we can explain our policy to you, and then you don't have to sue us if he's looking for more transparency. And for him, if he's looking to immediately not get his channel taken down, he might not want to go through years of litigation. You guys know how long that can take to actually get a resolution. He might hope that YouTube will see the the pressure that he's trying to put on them by announcing this and trying to rally the troops, if you will, behind him and maybe work with him because of that. I don't know if they're likely to acquiesce. YouTube's been pretty stalwart in their policies, particularly their creator code of conduct, and they've banged David Dobrik over it, and they've banged James Charles over it. So if they're demonetizing him because of creator code of conduct, I don't know what he's going to say about that.
I mean, yeah, like legally, it's interesting because it seems like he's saying that a private company shouldn't be able to enforce their rule. Like what exactly? Again, there's no actual complaint, so we can only speculate. Right. But it seems that his argument is like, I have free speech, and you are infringing on my free speech.
And the thing that's interesting about YouTube is YouTube still is a private entity. So we're going to see a lot of these arguments over the coming years pushed about whether YouTube is actually discriminating on its platform, if they are not really a private company, if they're more of a platform like a utility or like a common carrier. And we're seeing people try to figure out what YouTube is really, but YouTube has the right to not allow people on their platform at this point. And we see actually both political parties trying to figure out what to do with social media in different ways because they are not liking different results with social media being able to silence people as they perceive it to be. Right. But at the end of the day, YouTube has to protect other creators. And so I get YouTube's argument, like, look, if you're making the platform a mess and advertisers don't want to advertise with you like Adpocalypse, then it hurts creators like y'all and like me. And so if one creator is causing problems on the platform or problems for the platform, as creators, is it something where we're like, yes, all creators should have a voice. Everyone should be able to say whatever they want on YouTube. And I don't care if advertisers don't want to be on the platform anymore. Or is it, hey, this company has to protect what we're monetizing because others have actually built their businesses here too. So YouTube's in an interesting position with that. And I'm not sure exactly what they demonetized him over. I know he's said some things that are quite out in a field. He's done some things on his channel that are out in a field. I generally lean towards letting people say what they want and letting the audience decide if they watch it or not. But at the end of the day, YouTube's a company and they do have policies.
I think you're right, though. We are going towards interesting terrain because it's like on the right, they're super pro-business and against regulations. So it's like, this is the result of that. And then I feel like it makes sense to regulate tech companies because they are turning into more utility. It's more of a utility, let's be honest, than, and then there's also rules like on Facebook and YouTube where they're not publishers, right? They can't be held liable for what people post. So there's like all these carve-outs for them. I feel like.
You're absolutely right, Ethan. It's gotten to a really interesting place where because of Section 230, the platforms can't be sued. So there's this protection that they have and people are trying to get around that protection and trying to figure out how they can sue platforms. Because if you want to free market it, it's like, okay, YouTube's a private business, do what you want. And then if you screw somebody over, they can sue you and say you're discriminating against me. But right now with some of their protections, it's not as easy to do that, partly pulling into this letter of demand saying, hey, we're going to seek an injunction, not claims against you, but an injunction to stop you from doing this to me. And which seems to be what Crowder is seeking in his, notice of lawsuit to them. But with that 230 protection, the right, it's really strange to me because they're very pro-business and less regulation, but want to more heavily regulate what social media can do. So there's this weird flipping of general ideology, which never sits well with me. I'm like, if your ideology is let people do it, then let people do it. And sometimes you don't like the result.
It's just ironic because on the left, people who have always been trying to regulate social media is to agree. And then all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, we've been saying that for years, but all of a sudden, ironically, now you want to regulate what they can do. Interesting.
It's very interesting, and I think you're right. Sorry, I totally cut you off.
No, it's ironic that all of a sudden, when it's not going for him, he wants to regulate them, and it's a huge liberal conspiracy, and not just him being a douchebag. But hey, that's just one guy's opinion.
I think we're going to see some interesting things happen with how government treats social media because is there room for discrimination on platforms? Can they say, hey, we don't like what you say, how you say it, who you are saying it? And is that a problem for all creators? And I think so. We want to have all kinds of voices. We don't want to live in an echo chamber. And if people say horrible stuff, then they generally get held accountable for that. With regards to audience, but YouTube at the end of the day is going to try to keep the platform friendly to advertising, and we've got to keep that goal in mind. So if a content creator like Crowder is going to just put, brand deals on his content, does he really need to be monetized? You can still run brand deals if you can still upload videos.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I'm sure there's a My Pillow ad waiting for him.
Oh God, My Pillow money's crazy. Yeah, good call.
Or some gun holster company or something.
Maybe
Emily?
that's what's with the holster.
How you doing? You okay?
Integration.
You been good?
We're good. I mean, we've had an interesting week. My parents are in town. My son broke his shoulder. So, you know, parent life. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Our son fell out of his crib. He didn't break his shoulder, though. He just came wanting it.
Look, boy life. Both of my kids have broken their arms twice.
Wow.
So I'm hoping that we're at the end of it. But if you let them do stuff, sometimes they fall.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, Emily, thank you for calling in. As usual, we value your perspective.
Yeah.
Emily D. Baker on YouTube, everywhere. Emily D. Baker everywhere.
Yep. Great to see you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, to paraphrase, Crowder's a giant D-bag.